Plot summary of Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. The director of the Central London hatcheries takes a group of students on a tour of the facilities, where babies are made and raised in bottles. Birth is non-existent in the world state. The director shows how the 5 castes of world state society are made, from the alphas and betas, who run the society, to the deltas, gammas, and epsilons, who do menial work because they are not as smart or as strong as the alphas and betas. The director also shows how each person is trained before and after birth to follow the moral rules of the world state and enjoy his or her predetermined job. Each caste is taught something different, but all of them are taught to want instant gratification, to be sexually promiscuous, to spend money, and to use the drug soma to get away from all bad things. The director says that this kind of conditioning is the key to all happiness and goodness. Mustafa Mond, one of the 10 world controllers, joins the tour, which is a special treat for the students and the director. He talks to the students about how the world state was made and how it has made people happy and stable by getting rid of strong emotions, desires, and relationships. In the changing rooms at the hatchery, Lenina Crown's friend Fanny criticizes her for only dating Henry Foster. Lenina decides to date Bernard Marx, even though he is a bit small and strange for an alpha. She does this because she knows she needs to be more open to other people. Bernard, on the other hand, is furious as he listens to Henry Foster and another man talk about having Lenina in a normal way. Later, in the elevator, Lenina says yes to Bernard's offer to go with him to the New Mexico Savage Reservation. After that, Bernard goes to see his friend Helmholtz Watson. The two say bad things about the world state. Bernard is unhappy because he feels self-conscious about being small, and Helmholtz feels stifled because he is so good at everything he does. Lenina has a date with Henry while Bernard goes to his once every 2 weeks solidarity service. After taking soma, the 12 people there chant in unison and call out "Our Ford" until they are in a state of ecstasy and then collapse in an orgy. Bernard is sad because he knows he is the only one who didn't enjoy the service. The director gives Bernard and Lenina permission to go to the Savage Reservation. As he does this, he thinks back to his own trip to the reservation 20 years earlier, when he was with a woman who disappeared during a storm. The director is embarrassed that Bernard told such a secret, so he threatens to send Bernard to Iceland. Bernard thinks the director is just messing with him, but just before he goes into the reservation, Helmholtz tells him that the director is serious. After seeing some strange Indian rituals in the reservation, Bernard and Lenina meet John, a young savage who quotes Shakespeare, and his mother, Linda. Bernard figures out that Linda is the woman who got separated from the director and that John is their son. John is stunned by how beautiful Lenina is, and when Bernard offers to take him and Linda back to London, he is thrilled at the chance to see the brave new world for himself. But Bernard plans to humiliate the director in public as payback for his threat to send him away. In fact, the director has to quit because having a child is a public scandal. John, who is known as the Savage, is a big hit in London. But the world state worries him, especially because Linda has taken soma to make herself feel happy. As John's friend and guide, Bernard becomes popular, but when John doesn't show up to one of Bernard's parties, the guests turn on Bernard, who they were only enjoying to meet the savage. John and Helmholtz become friends because John reads Helmholtz Shakespeare and Helmholtz reads John his own poems. Bernard doesn't like how close they are. Lenina, on the other hand, thinks about John more and more, but she can't tell if he likes her or not. When John tells her for the last time that he loves her, she gives herself to him. But he finds world state society's promiscuity disgusting and curses at her. John gets a phone call that his mother is dying while she is hiding in the bathroom. When Linda is given drugs at the hospital, she thinks her son is Pope, the Indian man she used to date. This makes John mad, as does the fact that a group of Gamma kids are being taught not to be afraid of death. Soon, Linda dies. John is devastated and thinks that soma is to blame for Linda's death. He tries to stop some deltas in the hospital lobby from getting their soma rations. Deltas start to fight. Helmholtz and Bernard show up. They had been told what John was up to. Helmholtz jumps in to defend John, while Bernard just stands there not knowing what to do. After the riot is over, John, Helmholtz, and Bernard are taken to see Mustafa Mond. Mond and John talk about World State Society in Mond's office. John says that by destroying the truth, it makes life pointless. Mond says that happiness and stability are more important than the truth, which is risky. Happiness also keeps mass production going, which truth and beauty can't do. The world state has also done away with the need for God by making suffering go away and getting rid of the need to be good or do good things. John responds that he wants to be able to suffer and even be sad. Mond tells Helmholtz and Bernard that they will be sent to an island. Islands are where all the interesting people who don't like fitting in with world state society live, but he won't let John go with them. John then sets up a hermitage in an abandoned lighthouse in the countryside. There, he purifies himself by not sleeping, hitting himself, and doing other ascetic things. A photographer takes a picture of one of his sessions, and a sensational movie is made about him. Soon, a lot of people will come to see the show for themselves. People want him to do the whipping trick again and again. Lenina gets out of one of the helicopters and tries to talk to John. John rushes at her, calling her a strumpet, and whipping both her and himself. In line with world state conditioning, the crowd, including John, gets orgy when there is a lot of emotion. The next day, John hangs himself because he can't stand what he's done.
About the author. Aldous Huxley came from a family of scientists and writers who were well known. His biologist grandfather helped spread the word about Darwin's theory of evolution. Huxley's mother was related to the English poet Matthew Arnold, and Huxley's father was the editor of Cornhill magazine. Huxley was a thoughtful and creative kid, but his family made fun of him for being grumpy. He went to Eton and Oxford, so he was good at both literature and science and knew a lot about both. Even though he almost went blind from an eye disease when he was 16, which put an end to his plans to become a doctor, he soon made a living as a writer. During the 1920s, he wrote a lot and published many essays, sketches, caricatures, and 4 novels. Huxley's most popular book, Brave New World, came out in 1932. As the threat of war grew in Europe, Huxley moved to California with his wife Maria and their son Matthew. He failed at writing screenplays, but he became interested in hallucinogens, which led to The Doors of Perception, a book about his drug experiences. Huxley's last book, Island, came out in 1963, the same year he died. Unlike Brave New World, which was a dystopia, Island was a utopia.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.